Hello, everyone. Good day to you, and welcome to another episode. How are we doing? How has life been lately? Today, I'd like to begin by asking a question. Do you think of yourself as a rational being? Like, if we were to rate yourself on the scale of rationality, 10 being completely and absolutely rational, and 0 being an emotional wreck who is just easily distracted by any and everything. What number do you think you would pick for yourself? And depending on the answer that you pick, depending on the number that you pick, another question I would like to ask is, why is it that humans who are supposedly rational consistently fall for bad arguments? And they don't just fall for bad arguments just once in their lifetimes, but they do it over and over and over again. This is where I would like to start. And the answer for this goes way back before philosophy, before technology, before social media, and any of these other things. It goes way back to the period when survival was all that was on our mind 24 hours of the day. And so, quickly, I would like you to just close your eyes right now. Walk with me through the eyes of your mind and just picture it, a period when humans haven't exactly lived like this. And by this, I mean the way we are living right now. Because humans actually have come a long way. We've come a long way as a species. Just a few thousand years ago, there were no houses, there were no fences, there was no technology, there were no clothes. We were just bare. And we lived in the open with the trees all around us. We were literally in the wild. And to be honest, we might say that there was just a little bit of difference between us and the animals. Like around this time, there was no farming, there were no diets. All that we had to eat were either fruits or the animals that we get to kill. And we were under constant danger because, of course, there were predators all around us. Something was either trying to kill us or we're trying to kill something consistently every day, every plant. Every mushroom that we pick up to eat, every fruit, every leaf that we decide to try, every animal that we see, it might look like meat, but then a huge number of our population were consistently wiped out by seemingly insignificant things. We were consistently in danger. If the weather does not kill us, if the animals do not kill us, we might just be walking on the road with our family, and then a rival clan will just come in and attack us, and the whole community is gone. So consistently, that was the state that we were in. And just to mention again, humans did not always live in houses. Think about it. Around this time, the average lifespan of a person was around 50. I mean, you were lucky if you lived up to 50. Because if you were a young man, for example, it would be ingrained in your subconscious that one of the greatest things you can do for yourself and for your community and the people that you love is to die in battle. Where you're just using stones and sticks to fight the rival clan or someone that comes around to steal your children or your food or your family or your territory. And so it's ingrained. And so even before anything happens, you are ready to jump in front of danger. You're ready to face the wild boar or the leopard that is trying to rip a chunk from the side of your wife or the side of your kids. And that's just for the men, but how about the women? I mean, there was no health care. Literally, any sickness, any disease, we didn't see. We did not exactly live in sanitary conditions. I mean, childbirth or some sickness can just take away the women. And even if all of that doesn't happen, I mean, just one flimsy fever might just come around, or one flu might just come around and just wipe out the whole clan. I'm just trying to, bring us to the states that we were for the longest period of time. It took a long time before the first cities were built. We might not exactly have it in recorded history, but for a long time, we were just in the jungle. barely covering up ourselves, just walking aimlessly, barely knowing the reason why we existed. And so all of these things that I just mentioned just means that survival was hard. Dependence was essential for you to be able to live long, for you to enjoy the little time that you had. You have to depend. And so if you were a lone human, if you were alone at any point in time, it means you are weak. If you are alone in the jungle, if you are alone in the wilderness, I mean, all that every other thing and every other person can see is just meat and bones. Something that they can just have as a quick snack. If you are alone as a human, it just means you are weak and you are vulnerable. It means that you can't hunt, you can't track animals, you can't treat snake bites because you are alone. Everything you need to survive comes from the knowledge that you can gather, because all of the knowledge came from just one place. You don't know anything. You're just one human who has lived in one generation. There are no books around where you can just go and source for information. And you weren't born with the information. So there is only one place that you can source knowledge from. And that place is your clan. So every single night when the campfire is lit and everybody sits around there, you better not miss even one night around the campfire. So you see that everybody is there at the campfire, and then the elders, the older ones, the more experienced ones, they begin to tell stories. They begin to share about their experiences, the way that they killed a leopard, the kind of spear to use for these particular animals. When it's an elephant, when it's a mammoth, there's a kind of spear. It has to have this kind of tip, and this is the way that you sharpen it. When you are chasing a cheetah, there is a way to keep your pace so that you don't run out of breath, because if you run out of breath, you lose the cheetah and there's no meal for your family. So it means you and your family are dead. So you better sit at the campfire and listen to the knowledge that is being passed down. The campfires literally were our schools. The campfire was the source of knowledge for our healthcare. The campfire was our YouTube, it was our college, it was our university, it was our Google, it was our ChatGPT. If you have a question, if you're wondering about the rainbow that you saw in the sky, guess what? The first thing that comes to your mind is to speak to an elder, or you wait till the next campfire. As a human, you needed the clan. You needed the clan for food. You needed the clan for protection. You needed your clan for knowledge. You needed it literally for your survival and your sustenance. And so this would mean that any disagreement you had, came at a cost. Because if you disagree too much, it means you can be exiled from the clan. And if you are exiled from the clan, it's just equal to death. If you are exiled from the clan, you have no weapons, you have no shelter, you have no way to make weapons, you have no backup. And so everybody learns. In fact, our species learned from a very young age to follow the group, whether you like it or not. You follow the bandwagon. I mean, it's only today that we have the luxury of saying that following the crowd and following the bandwagon is a weak thing to do. We can say that today because we are privileged. Back then, they didn't have a choice. You have to follow the bandwagon. Today, we would say that people that follow the crowd are, they are the sheep. They are just following what everybody says. But back then, that was your survival strategy. Like, that was your only hope. Where do you want to run to? You want to run into the bush. You want to go and be dealing with the snakes and the wild cats alone. Of course not. You better stick to the clan. And that was your only strategy. live in the few decades that you have and you die. As a human at that time, you don't want to be a lone man opposing the voice of your clan. You don't want to be exiled. And so this would mean that anything that is popular knowledge, anything that is the one voice of the clan, anything that everybody in the clan believes is the truth. To the primitive man, to our primitive brain, anything that is popular just equals the truth, because collective belief is the one thing that has kept the group alive. I mean, think about it. On the basic level, if a particular kind of truth has kept your great-grandfather, has kept your grandfather, has kept your father, and is now keeping you, and you look around you, you see your children. I mean, you could be a 17-year-old and you already have like 3 kids, and you are still planning on having more. And you see your child, you see your wife, you see your grandmother, you see everybody in your clan, and they believe one thing. Literally, because all of our mind and our thought process is consistently on surviving, consistently on not dying from a fever and not being eaten alive by an animal. Consistently survival was the one thing that we were thinking about. And so if a knowledge provides survival for us consistently, then that thing has to be the truth. And if the clan believes it, then it means what they believe is the truth. So our brain evolved with these shortcuts that anything that is popular belief is truth belief, because the truth felt like whatever aligned with the clan. We didn't know anything outside of what the clan knew. And whatever the clan knew was the truth. So because there's no other place to get any sort of knowledge from, then it means the clan is the source of truth. If all of the knowledge that the clan possesses could have kept us alive for this long, then it means that knowledge, that information must be true. Therefore, to the primitive mind, the clan can never be wrong. If the clan had been wrong, then we would not be alive right now. And so us being alive just equals to the fact that the knowledge and information that had been keeping us is true. So if the clan says that the earth is flat, you better accept it. You can't go and check for yourself anywhere. You can't decide to travel to the end of the earth. It's impossible. You are just one man. If you try it, you will die by next week. So you believe it. So all of these things I'm talking about, they are instinctive, they are deep in our minds. They've been drilled for years in our DNA, in our subconscious. Millennials have passed, but that primitive mind is still there. And so now, thousands of years have passed. That primitive part of our brain still remains. We still subconsciously equate popularity to safety. If something is popular, then it means that thing is safe. And if that thing is safe, then it is true. If something is popular, if something is well known and well accepted, then that means that thing is safe enough for all of these many people to accept it. And if all of these people have accepted it, then it means that thing is true. So our mind still leans towards the one voice of society. We want to hear it. It brings us comfort. But unfortunately now, we are coming to realize slowly, but surely, hopefully, all of this primitive rule and primitive way of thinking and primitive way that the mind works, everything has been put on steroids because of technology. Because unlike the ancient world, falsehood spreads as fast as truth. Like there's no distinguishing it. viral contents feel like the clan agrees. And the reason is because socially, the clan in quotes has now morphed into what we call society. So now we don't necessarily have people that are willing to die for us. Unlike what we had before, where like literally your clan is made up of men that have been trusted. Someone that for the sake of your child and your wife, just making it out of the camp to run away to safety. He's willing to stand in front of the spear that's coming towards your wife. And he literally takes a beating for your family. He literally dies. You see it. So you can trust these people. They are your family. They are your people. But now our understanding of what the clan is are just millions of strangers at different parts of the world that you never met before, or probably even the algorithm. Your algorithm that is consistently creating a reinforced echo chamber for you, where you don't even know what is happening outside of your echo chamber. All that you know is the repeated kind of content and information that is being regurgitated back to you over and over again. So we are literally living in the loop, and that is our clan. That is the place that we feel safe, and that is fine with us. But our brain, unfortunately, cannot distinguish it. So now the primitive instinct still sees popularity as the truth, because where we are, there's a kind of truth that is popular, and that is where we need to. Or at least that's what our mind tells us. This belief is dangerous. Dangerous. This way that our mind works is very dangerous, especially in the digital age. For a long time, our ancestors needed that. They needed that survival mentality. But today, for us to be able to survive mentally in our day and our age, we need something that our ancestors did not have. We need an objective sense of thinking. We need an objective mindset, one that can be distinguished from our neighbor, one that can be distinguished from the clan. Else, we'll just be puppets in another man's play. And all that I just mentioned was necessary to establish the foundation for what we'll be talking about today. Today we'll be talking about the bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect is that thing that makes us assume that whatever everyone else believes must be true. For example, we have the social media trends, we have viral misinformation, we have the echo chamber, like I mentioned earlier. We have millions of people that are in different echo chambers that believe certain things. And they believe those things because those things are popular, because everybody else around them believes them. But then all of these things are merely just viral. They are not necessarily true. So for our minds, we still feel that if many people are believing something, then that thing must be true. Today, we are trying to shed light on the bandwagon effect for you to be able to distinguish that not everything that the bandwagon follows is always true. So the survival instinct was useful for our clan back then, but right now it's dangerous for us. In the modern day, all of those ways of thinking, the ways that our mind works, we have certain individuals that have weaponized it, that have taken psychology and sociology. I mean, if you have time, read up on Edward Bernays. You see how he's related to Freud, and how Freud is one of the forefathers of psychology. And you just see, if you do your study well, you will see a consistent pattern of individuals who have taken time to do some really, really good study. But then the reason for it is for exploitation. And that is what has been happening, because there's a way that our minds work, and there are certain ways that if certain things should be utilized, we literally have no defense against them. And the professionals have figured this out. Forefathers way before us, they've been able to figure this out. We need to be able to call by instincts. Right now, what we're seeing is that modernity has shifted from the way that the world used to work, but our instincts have not been able to catch up with the way that technology works. And unfortunately, we are seeing the results where people just unknowingly follow the loudest voice. They follow the loudest voice because naturally that is what the average human has been wired to do. That is what has kept us alive. Now, my goal for this episode is basically all that I mentioned. It's to be able to shed light on the reason why we think the way we think, the reason why our mind works in certain way. So this should lead us to see the gaps in our thought processes and to seek for evidence, to desire to follow the evidences instead of the loudest voices. Unfortunately, the human species is a sucker for bad arguments. And to be very, very honest, it's just the way we are. But of course, we don't have to remain the way we are. We can do something about it. Yes, you would naturally just follow your instincts, just the same way that we have an instinct for sex and to always eat and to eat almost everything and just the sugary thing. But you grow up and then you realize that not everything is for you. Not every woman you see is for you. And not every food you see should be eaten at every time. And the same as well goes for information and the things that you put into your mind and the things that you believe as well. Not every information, as sweet as it might sound or as beautiful as it might seem, not every information really is for you. And not every one of them is the truth. Yes, it might because we've been in the forest for so long and we've been conditioned to always look out for the really colorful berries because we will feel like they will contain more nutrients. Well, not every attractive information is the truth. Not all of them will provide us with the nutrients that we need. So there's a need for us to curb that and to be able to identify more of these things. So in the next episode, and maybe the episode after that, we'll be diving into the world of logical fallacies. As many of them, from the formal to the informal fallacies, from ad hominem to the straw man to the slippery slope, as many of them as we can uncover. And I think from the next episode, we might just as well describe these podcasts for a couple of episodes as the Philosophy 101 logic class. I genuinely hope you would be around. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you will be able to see things differently than you used to before. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you for joining in. Let me know what you think about this episode. What stuck out to you?